On this aspect, I can talk for the whole day. Unfortunately, we don't have much time on this one.
Thank you for joining the Find Focus platform, where we are going to show people who the imaging scientist of South Africa is. We're very, very happy and thankful that you've joined us today.
And also, thanks a lot for hosting me. Hopefully, I'll give a good insight for what we are having. So basically, I'm one of those people who are born from Limpopo in a rural village, growing up herding cattle and goats, and also started my primary school in Mangaya Primary School, where in secondary school, I've done it in Barangani from standard 6 to standard 9, wherein I've done my standard 10 or grade 12 at Tengwe High School. And from there on, after a gap year, I went to register BSc at the University of Limpopo, wherein I've started in 1999 and finished my degree in 2005 after 4 years of dropping out. And in 2008, I've worked as an educator for 4 years, wherein in 2011, I got an opportunity to work at the Department of Agriculture and Rural Development. While working there, I registered my honors degree in 2012 part-time. In 2014, I finished that degree. After that, I've realized that there is a lot that one needs to know out there. Then I registered my master's in environmental sciences, which I finished in 2017. After that, everything just changed. Then I said, okay, why not for the PhD? Because if you have done only your master's, there was this other saying, is like you have entered grade 12 and decided to drop out during exam time. So I said, okay, let me take on that challenge, wherein I've done my PhD under the title of Influence of Drought and Heat Stress on Amaranthus Species Physiology and Bioactive Compounds. In this study, interesting enough, I was working on the normal Moroho plants that South African eat. Then I've realized that there could be something interesting out of this. So I went on to find out that this study was the first extensive study that explored the interactive effects of drought and heat stress on photochemical efficiency, biochemical defense mechanism, mineral content, and bioactive compounds accumulation, and also the potential anti-cancer properties of this Amaranthus species. So what we have discovered was that the findings that we had showed us that heat stress at 40 degrees under well-watered conditions and combined drought and heat stress at 30 degrees are the stress factors that induce accumulation of caffeic acid and rutin, which in this instance, we also realize that therefore we can do chemical farming out of these plants if we want high content of caffeic acid or rutin. So the other thing that we also found out was that we confirmed the claims that drought and heat stress and a combination of both trigger the accumulation of bioactive compounds, not only caffeic acid and rutin. And also the interesting part, we found that, or this study demonstrated that one of these Amaranthus species, which is Hypochondriacus, could serve as a potential source of anti-cancer phytoconstituents for drug development.
Wonderful. It sounds like a journey you've taken, and I have to be honest with you, it's actually very inspiring that whenever a student or someone feels like the journey is so long, and you know, if there's obstacles in the way of finishing fast and so on, doesn't mean it's the end of the story. Look where you are today, and you've persevered, and you you have your PhD today. So that's wonderful as a motivation to other students, and wonderful story. Tell me a bit, when did microscopy cross your path? Did you use any microscopy in your studies, or when did you meet with or get your first experience of microscopy?
Interesting enough, my first experience of microscopy was during my first year at the university. So, however, we didn't get that much time to can work with microscope because it was module courses. So therefore, you have to use a very little time that you had. But interesting enough, I had some good interest in it. That's why immediately when I get an opportunity to work with microscope, I just jump in. I said, okay, let me do this.
Wonderful. So you are now today the operator of the microscope at Northwest University. So tell us about the microscope in the lab, and what do you guys do in the microscopy lab at Northwest University?
Yeah, first of all, I would say that the microscope that we are having is Zeiss LS980 with Eriscan 2, and it has got an incubation system which enable us to do super resolution and also live cell imaging. So what we are currently doing in our core facility, or as the main operator at this core facility, the interesting thing is the shared resource under Center of Excellence for Pharmaceutical Sciences that serve all scientists from all departments in our institution, and we don't restrict other people from outside institution. We also serve them. And the good thing about this is a paid for service, but we make sure that the costs are as low as possible. But at the end of the day, we make sure that if something breaks, if we need to service this microscope, we are having enough funds to do so. And we also use different costing structures, but at the end of the day, we make sure that it's accessible to everyone. So the other thing that we do, we make sure that we image all kinds of samples. In this case, we image cell culture sample, bacterial sample, histology sample, and plant samples, wherein we make sure that we also do this for all these other different research groups, but with the main aim to make sure that they can afford this. So the other thing that we do, or the main focus that we do in our case, we are screening medicinal and herbal plants on different cancer cell lines, which in this case, we also make sure that we image these samples, mostly our cell culture or cell lines, to try to find out wherein we can see if we can start to see some developments and try to see some other interesting thing using different stains, staining different parts of those cells like filaments and nucleus. And also the most interesting thing, there's something on the pipeline wherein we are trying to develop a skin inflammation model and wound healing model in this case, wherein we are also still going to screen different herbal and medicinal plants. And the most important thing about this study, we are trying to fully understand the cytokines, intracellular functions, and trafficking on skin inflammation repair response or wound healing repair response. So therefore, we will try to make sure that we are trying to investigate as much as we can the effect of this traditional African herbal medicine on the major repair response of interleukin 1 alpha and 1 beta, and tumor suppressor P53 on skin inflammatory diseases like eczema, psoriasis, and dermatitis. So hopefully we will be able to break through on this one.
Fantastic. Yeah. Tell me, what are there typical herbal plants or medicinal plants that we as the general public would know? What type of plants are you guys testing?
So basically, there is quite a lot, but I will just to mention a few. We are also trying bulbine fructescens, Xylem, humile, and many other plant species. However, we try to get much of this information from botanists and traditional healers to make sure that people out there are not just exposed to toxic stuff, which at the end of the day might exacerbate their conditions. So we are trying to make sure that we research on this and at least give out this information out there so that people can exactly know that those findings are science-based, not just the hearsays out there.
That's wonderful. It's actually very rich how many plants in South Africa is useful for medicinal purposes. And I think it's absolutely fantastic that we are bringing the real science where everyone was just looking at pharmaceuticals and chemistry, and now actually bringing the natural products and make it, or not make it scientific, but really look at it from a scientific viewpoint. So that's really exciting. Fantastic. So you mentioned that you guys are a core facility and you charge as little as possible for the people so that they can afford it. I think it's incredibly important. But tell me, what in your experience was the biggest challenges running this lab? Are there challenges? Is everything smooth going? And what your experience in this facility?
Yeah, I would say it's like this is the imaging scientist challenge throughout the world, mostly when you are getting samples from different institutions. Some of the main challenges we can say that is sample preparations. We know that if your sample is not well prepared, you barely get what you are looking for. And in most cases, you also find people who haven't done thorough research as to what they want to see. In most cases, it leads you to read more on what they've provided you with, which I think we should take this message out there to the researchers to at least firstly research more on what you want to do and also learn more about your sample preparations, because like in our case we are imaging different plants, actually different samples from different species, which makes it difficult for us to can know exactly or about everything from those samples. So therefore we can encourage scientists to at least do some research and at least learn more about sample preparation so that whenever they bring those samples to us, we can at least get better images which are worth publishing.
Yeah, I think that's a very important message, and I've heard the saying "garbage in, garbage out." So
that's
we
very
must
true.
make sure there's no garbage that comes in, and then we can make sure that it's not garbage that comes out. So yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. And that I think what is important also then in the journey of a user coming to you guys is also the training, I guess. So it's that mutual, you need to learn your sample preparation, and the imaging scientists can actually help with that. Tell me, we've met each other last year at the Global Bioimaging and African Bioimaging Consortium meetings, and it was a great pleasure, firstly. So that was the first time that you've joined these networks, correct?
Yes, and to be honest, that's the time I had a brain freeze. But I like the fact that I learned a lot within a very short space of time. And I can tell you that for me, since that moment, I've been urging even researchers to consider attending such meetings, because for me, I've realized that there is a lot of training opportunities that they can know about and be exposed to. And the good thing is that they will know that they can be able to access a lot of different kinds of microscopy technologies. And therefore, they also get an opportunity to collaborate with other imaging scientists who are also much more experienced. And the other good thing is to make sure that they actually network with these people, which I've done that and I've seen it working very well. And the other thing is that you also get an opportunity to get an international job shadowing, which also can be a very good skill transfer. So, and I can say that actually on this aspect, I can talk for the whole day. Unfortunately, we don't have much time on this one.
It's wonderful to hear. So to you, it's very valuable, this networking. Did you do any international job shadowing, or is it in the pipeline? Are you going to apply?
Yes, I'm going to apply. Hopefully, I'll get an opportunity to can do that.
That would be absolutely wonderful, and I think it's important that we as South African imaging scientists bring back knowledge from overseas, because it's sad that overseas people have a lot more training opportunities, and then if we can bring that back, the knowledge, it would be absolutely fantastic. So yeah, do you have a message for the young scientists in South Africa? Would you like to, if you have to encourage people, especially the young scientists, you're Tshivenda, right?
Yes, yes.
So I'm certain there will be some Tshivenda young scientists who really want to have a career in science, and it would be wonderful if you can tell them, what is your message to those young people?
Yeah, my message, the good thing, it will be in Tshivenda. So all in all, what I can say, ṱhuṱhuwedzo ine ndavha nayo ndi uri takalelani tshikolo, zwi ni bvisa mahayani zwa ni ita uri ni tshimbile ḽifhasi ḽoṱhe nahone ni gude zwithu zwiswa. Zwithu zwihulwane zwine nda nga zwi amba ndi nga sumbedzisa uri fulufhelani mudzimu u ḓo ni bveledzisa, ni fulufhele na vhaprofita vhawe ni ḓo bvelela. Zwine ndi nga ni ṱuṱuwedza uri ni ye ni vhale vha Koronika ya vhuvhili, ndima ya vhufumbili, ndima na ṱhukhu ya vhufumbili na yone.
Thank you very, very much. It's wonderful when we have people to look up to, and I'm very sure that the Tshivenda young scientist will look up to you and really be inspired to follow in your footsteps. I want to thank you for your time. I think it was wonderful to have your viewpoints and hear from someone who's basically walked a long journey and now is in imaging, and every day you're doing microscopy almost every day, right?
Yes, yes.
And I hope you all the success and joy that microscopy and imaging can bring. And it's very nice to see you in ABIC, very active in ABIC. And yeah, we'll see you a lot more.
Thanks.